Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I want to introduce you to the diverse ethnic groups of Africa. Africa is the most diverse continent in the world. It has diversity in habitats, animals, plants, and even humans. So stick to the end to learn about Africans and let me know your opinions down in the comments. So before I start, I want to address two problems. The first is the Afrocentric hate mongers on social media who try to promote this Nazi-like idea of invading North Africa to kick out the non-black native Africans there in order to keep Africa racially black. This far-right Nazi ideology of promoting hate is mainly done by Afrocentric black Americans who have nothing positive to do with their lives but to promote hate.
Okay, yeah, we're totally all going to come together as the black race for the first time in history to conquer North Africa. Guys, it's happening.
So, if you're African or you are in the diaspora, either North or Sub-Saharan, please do not fall in this rabbit hole of hate, in which Afrocentric black Americans are promoting in social media. I mean, Africans are human beings, are not perfect angels. I mean, I cannot deny that they are racist North Africans. They are a minority, but not all of them. For example, the president of Tunisia made some racist comments about black migrants in Tunisia. But he faced backlash from Tunisians who went to the streets and protested against this racism. And don't forget about the xenophobes of South Africa, who are black and they commit some xenophobic violence against their fellow black African migrants. This does not mean that these bad actors represent the whole population. So don't fall into these Afrocentrics who are using examples like these to divide the children of this great continent called Africa. And the second problem that I want to address is that you do not need to be black in order to be African. For example, average North Africans get offended when they are called African because they don't want to be associated with black people. And in the other hand, black people don't see them as African either, because they don't look like quote-unquote black. So you do not need to be black in order to be African, and you do not need to be African in order to be black. African people come in all shades of color. You can find native Africans with very pale skin, like glow-in-the-dark pale skin, and other Africans with very deep dark skin. And between the two, there are different shades of brown. And together with that, Africa has different varieties of facial features. You can find Africans with soft features, black Africans with very sharp features, Africans with monolid eyes. I mean, the continent itself is very diverse, second only to Asia. The anthropological classification of races in Africa are divided into four major races, namely the Negroid or the lesser known Congoid, the Caucasoid, the Capoid, and the Mongoloids. The Negroids are further divided into the Niger Congo groups and the Nylots. And the Caucasoids found in Africa are mostly the Afro-Asiatics, such as the Kushites, Berbers, and Arabs. And together with the Indo-European settlers such as the Boers and the Indians. And the Capoids are made up of two groups, the Khoi and the San. And lastly, the African Mongoloid people are the Malagasy, people found in the island of Madagascar. Together with these people, there are also Africans with mixed heritage, such as the Cape Coloureds, the Swahilis, the Barwanis, and the Rwandans. When people think of Africans, they often think of the Niger Congo people. Swahili is probably the most well-known African language outside of Africa, and it is a Bantu language. Bantu languages are a branch of the Niger Congo language family, in which they originated in West Africa, namely Cameroon. Although the Niger Congo Bantu people are a related group of peoples, they can vary in appearances, especially those that have mixed with neighboring non-Bantu people, such as the Rwandans and Kosas. However, these are the generalizations that sometimes signify the Niger Congo or Bantu ancestry. And they are the most widespread group in Africa, living in the general western, central, and southeastern region of the continent. However, for most part, many are about average in height to a bit shorter in stature than average. They also have wider soft facial features and are more robust built than neighboring Koisans, Kushites or the Nylots. And example of the Niger Congo tribes are the Yoruba, Igbo, Fula, Iwe, Fon, Gadagme, Shona, Sesotho, Kosa, Zulu, Akan, and Maore, together with the Luba, Kikuyus, and Sukuma, and together with the famous nature-loving Pygmies. And the famous people in this group are Nelson Mandela, Dr. King Jr., Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Tupac Shakur, Usain Bolt, Kevin Hart, and Michael Jordan. The Kushites, the native people in the Horn of Africa, such as Somalia, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Eritrea, speak a Cushitic language, together with minorities speaking Cushitic languages in countries such as Sudan, aka the Nubians, the south of Egypt, Kenya, and Tanzania. Despite the misconceptions about these people, they are not mixed with modern racial groups. They originated in the Horn of Africa, thus an ancient group indigenous to the area. They tend to be tall, slender, with sharp aquiline Caucasoid features, and often have curly to wavy hair texture. And the example of Cushitic tribes are the Somali, Borana, Rendile, Afar, Orma, Sakuye, Boni, Wata, Yaaka, etc., etc. Genetically closer to the Kushites but are the South Semitic people. South Semitic is a putative branch of the Semitic languages, which forms a branch of the larger Afro-Asiatic language family found in North and East Africa and Western Asia. So the tribes that speak the South Semitic language are the Amharics of Ethiopia and the Tigrinyas of Ethiopia and Eritrea. And the famous people from this group are Nipsey Hussle, The Weeknd, Ilhan Omar, Haile Selassie, and Barhad Abdi. Koisan, the Koi and the San. They are the people that live in Namibia, Botswana, Angola, Zambia, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. They tend to have epicanthic folds, almond-shaped eyes, lighter skin, high cheekbones, and shorter stature. They are sometimes said to resemble East Asian. They speak languages that belong to the Koisan language family that has some clicking sounds and nowadays said to be an invalid grouping as Koisan languages are more diverse than previously believed. They are believed to be the native people in East and South Africa. To this day, their numbers are quite low, and some of them believed to be extinct in their indigenous lands, losing to the technically superior Bantu migration, or in the case of the Xhosa people of South Africa, intermarriages. So, the famous Khoisan people are Niksau, Arios, and Nades. Anyways, I've just mentioned the cast of The Gods Must Be Crazy. If you haven't seen that movie, believe me, you won't regret it. The Amazir people. So, these people refer to themselves as Amazir for a singular male, Tamazir for a singular female or referring to their language, and Imaziren for the plural. They are the indigenous people of North Africa stretching from Morocco to the west part of Egypt, to Burkina Faso and back to Mauritania. And back to the naming, there is also a debate about the literal meaning of Amazir. Some say it means nobleman, others say it means freeman. So, the physical characteristics of the Amazir people are distinguished from the other ethnic groups are their build and skin color. They have slight builds and their skin tone can be anywhere from white to near white to dark brown. The Berbers have intermingled with many other ethnic groups, most commonly the Arabs. And what distinguishes between a North African Arab and a North African Berber is the shape of the eyes. Most Berbers have small almond-shaped hooded eyes, and Arabs have large almond-shaped eyes. So, the example of Berbers with very pale complexions are the Kabyle Berbers and the Rifian Berbers. And other groups with not so pale complexions are the Tuaregs and the Zayanis, together with the Mozabite Berbers. And famous Amazir people are Zedin Zedan, Pope Gelasius I, King Masan Sen, and King Jugurtha, together with Karim Benzema and Samir Nasri. The Arabs of North Africa are divided into two, the Maghrebi Arabs and the Egyptians. Mind you, Arab is a pan-ethnicity and it is also a modern identity. So, the Egyptian Arabs are an ethnic group native to the Nile Valley in Egypt. And the Egyptian identity is closely tied to geography. The population is concentrated in the Nile Valley, and the North African Arabs are the melting point of the people that conquered that region, and they are heavily mixed. So the Arabs in the Maghreb are not native in the region, but the Egyptian Arabs are natives in Egypt. Speaking of, there are also minority Arab communities in sub-Saharan Africa, such as the Lebanese in West Africa and the Yemenite Omani Arabs in the Swahili coast and Somalia, together with the Rashida Arabs in the Sudan and Eritrea. So, the North African and Egyptian Arabs can come in very pale skin to very dark skin, and they are of average height and build, and they have sharp Caucasoid facial features, together with large almond-shaped eyes, thick coarse hair and eyebrows, and hair textures can vary from curly to wavy to straight. And when it comes to eye colors, many Arabs have different colored eye colors. They are some with green, gray, hazel, black, and brown. And famous African Arabs are Muhammad Salah, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Mina Massoud, Rami Malek, French Montana, and Muhammad Gaddafi. The Nylots. Nylots are people who speak Nilotic languages, a branch of the Nilo-Saharan language family that originated in the Nile Valley. They predominantly live in South Sudan, Kenya, and Uganda. They tend to be the tallest group in Africa, particularly the Dinka. And they are a stately people with deep skin tones, soft and round features, long and slender limbs, and almond-shaped eyes. The Maasai, however, tend to have sharper facial features as a result of mixing with neighboring Cushitic people. Most photos of Afrikaans people will see often the Maasai people because they are well known for sticking to their traditional clothing and lifestyle. So, example of the Nilotic people are the Maasai, Teso, Samburu, Turkana, Dinka, Nuer, Shilluk, and the Luo. And famous Nilotic people are Lupita Nyong'o, Adut Akech, Duki Thot, and Koth Wiel, together with Aheu Deng. The Malagasy people. They are an Austronesian-speaking ethnic group indigenous to the island country of Madagascar. Traditionally, the population have been divided by subgroups, tribes, or ethnicities. Examples include the Highlanders, Austronesians, which is Indonesian, Polynesian, Micronesian, with less Bantu and Melanesian admixture, such as the Merina and Bet-Sileo of the Central Highlands, around the Antananarivo, Alaotra, and Fianarantsoa are the coastal dwellers, which are ethnically Bantu and Melanesian with less Austronesian or Indonesian admixture. So, Malagasy people are a mixed people, a mixture of the Austronesians and the Bantus. They look in quote-unquote Blasians. Depending to their admixture, they might look similar to an average Malaysian or similar to an average Bantu. The Boers, which means husbandman or farmer in Dutch. They are the settlers of South Africa of Dutch, German, Huguenot descent, especially one of the early settlers of the Transvaal and the Orange Free State. Today, the descendants of the Boers are commonly referred to as Afrikaners. So, the Afrikaans is the primary language spoken by the Boers. The language originated from the Dutch dialect spoken by the Dutch East India Company, officials, soldiers, and the settlers who arrived at the Cape of Good Hope in the mid-17th century. So, the Afrikaners are of the Germanic stock, and they have the highest percentage of blonde hair of all Europeans. Their nose is pointy and their skin tone is pinkish pale. Compared to other Europeans, their forehead is taller, thicker, and more vertical. And their height can vary from tall to average. And famous Afrikaners are Elon Musk, Charlize Theron, Arnold Vosloo, and Daniel Bonjour. So, let's go to the mixed people in Africa. Let us start with the Rwandans. They are Bantu people who are mixed with the Kushites. Then there are the Kosa people. They are the Bantu people who are mixed with the Koisan. Together with the Fulani people. They are the Niger Congo people mixed with the Chadic people and sometimes the Tuaregs. Then there are the Swahili. The Swahili people are a mixture of Arabs and Bantus, mostly found in coastal towns around East Africa such as Zanzibar. Then there are the Barwani people. They are a mixture of Arabs and some Cushitic people. And then there are the Cape Coloureds and the Cape Verdean people. The Cape Coloureds are a mixture between the Koisan, Bantus, and Europeans. And the Cape Verdeans are a mixture of the Niger Congo people and the Portuguese people. And lastly, the Malagasy people, who are mixed between the Austronesian people and the Bantus, as I mentioned previously. And I've kinda spoken about Indian people at the beginning. So, the Indians people living in Africa were brought by the British as endangered workers which decided to stay and they are a minority communities mostly found in South Africa, Kenya, Uganda. Idi Amin chased them off, not Uganda, and Tanzania. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more, and I will see you next time.